My name is Craig Cipolla. I came into UMass Boston a little bit later than most people probably. That's UMass Boston is typical. People come later in life, and I think that's a really cool part about the community at UMass Boston. And I went to get a degree in computer science. I took exactly one course in computer science and did not finish it, because at the same time I enrolled in this general elective course, which was like a survey of cultural anthropology. And I immediately fell in love with anthropology. I was like, I'll become a minor. And that worked out for maybe half a semester. And then I became a major. And then I became an archaeologist in particular. So that's how I came to be an anthropologist. And it's largely attributed to just the excellent faculty they have at UMass Boston. Every single member of the anthropology department just always had time for me. They let me come into their office and ask them questions. My parents sent me off to university as a computer science major, and I walked out 4 years later an anthropology major. I'm a first-generation academic, first-generation university student. So they probably didn't realize the gravity of that transformation, and maybe I didn't either. I come from a working-class background, and I still feel that today in my job, and it's not always the easiest, but they never made me feel like I didn't belong. And I can't say that about every place I've worked or every place I've studied. I definitely can't say that. It's not elitist, but it's got excellent researchers that are incredibly good teachers and supportive. So I think, anthropology for me was really exciting because you get to just learn about human culture across the globe. And I think that's really interesting. And so I would always talk to people about that kind of stuff. And I have gravitated towards sort of theoretical discussion. And I think that's part of UMass, the faculty. But I also think that there's a problem with theoretical sort of discussion in archaeology, and that's it, that no one ever takes the time to explain it for everyone. And that's what I'd like to think one of the broader contributions of my work has been, trying to make it less elitist than it is. And I came to UMass Boston and I wasn't an elite person, but they told me I was okay. That was okay. I could still be an archaeologist. I could still contribute. And I think actually that's a real strength, because not many of my colleagues who have positions in academia see it that way, I guess. And so I think it's lovely to be able to try to translate these things that are thought of as very ivory tower into examples that students can understand and wrestle with, and they can just get a grabbing point onto that sort of seemingly intimidating idea and just turn it just a little bit. And then all of a sudden the world opens up, right? That's how it happened for me, at least. So I love that part of my job. I think the most important one that just made me into an archaeologist is the first time I stepped foot in the fields at a project that was run by Steve Merzowski in the Fisk Center, just doing archaeology for the first time at Sylvester Manor in New York. That decided it for me. And ever since then, I've just been trying to realize the things that I wanted to make happen, make them real. Whose story are we telling as we dig this in? We don't know, because there's multiple different types of people, a very plural archaeological site. And so that general question, that general struggle basically defined most of my career in archaeology up to this point, right? So that's the first, I was introduced to it then, and I still don't know the answer to it now, but it's something that I'm really interested in working with. And with Eastern Pequot, it was absolutely just such a foundational experience to go to the reservation for the first time with Steve Silliman, and to meet Eastern Pequot people, because it's a moment where there's two different worlds coming together, building a different thing together. And I think, Steve's work does that excellently. So I think just being playing a small part in each of those projects absolutely shaped who I've become and made me want to do this work. But here's the beauty of anthropology, if you want to commit to it, is if anthropology is ever successful at getting past the deep and dark aspects of our history that involve racism, colonialism, ethnocentrism, all those things. If we get past that point, what does it become? Well, what it becomes is this wonderful thing where you sit together and you recognize the plurality of the world. Different people coming together and have a conversation that isn't hierarchized, where one view is better than everything else, or one view is the measuring stick by which you judge every other view. That's the history of anthropology, but that's not the future of anthropology. The future of anthropology is when we take that out and we flatten it. And from that experience, building a better, stronger understanding of the world. So it is future-oriented, in my opinion. It has to be future-oriented. I think that's the most fabulous thing in the world. If everyone was anthropological, I think the world would be a better place. And I think anthropological in what it should become, not what it has been in the past. Remember that you're bringing something to this experience. You're not just going to take shape from the university. You're going to bring something to that university. And you should be proud of who you are. It doesn't mean anything that you're a working class person. It doesn't mean you're lesser than some other person. Like I said, there's not a hierarchy here. Just because you think you're bad at something, you don't have to stay bad at it. You can be stubborn and you can keep grinding away at it until you get better. And you can ask more people about their advice, and UMass Boston faculty are always willing. I'm volunteering their time now. They're willing to talk to you about it, so just go and ask. You have to remember that you bring something to that learning experience. Learning is not a top-down where the teacher just tells you what to think and you agree. You're part of that. And so yeah, you should be humble, but you should also remember that you're a person that has strengths. You have something to say. It's not always going to be right, depending on how you judge that, but it will get you somewhere in that conversation new. It'll get you to a new place at the very least. And that's a value. There's a value in that. So just because your parents aren't chemists or computer scientists or philosophers or anthropologists, it doesn't mean that you can't be one. It doesn't mean that you can't bring valuable things to an anthropology classroom, because of course anthropology is supposed to be holistic, right? It's supposed to take information from all over the place, from all human experiences, not just at ivory tower places, right? So I think just remember that, but while remaining humble.